have.
You can't do it in public. About is what's wrong with the law. Things going on. Too late. County official rather than a state official. But it occurred to me, we got a podcast going the next day, and Lefty's not home, and he's 10:30 somewhere waiting for this to end so he can publicly get statements on record from people whose statements need to be on record. It's the most basic function that any advocate/activist needs to do. This is advocacy, though.
Right.
So there he is, and then he's going to be back here, and this is not a short drive from where Lefty lives, you know?
Right.
And it got me thinking, who the hell is this guy that does this that I sit with all these years? You know, he shows up and he goes away, and we don't see each other a lot except here.
Right.
You know, we're going to change that hopefully tomorrow, I'm hoping.
Oh.
For something that isn't to be broadcast, but so there's things I don't know about Lefty, and I do know one thing, though. There's very few people that you could interview live on air and where it is going to be archived for everybody to see and ask pretty much any question you wanted.
Right.
And knowing it's going to be relevant to
the situation,
yeah, and to who he is and why he does what he does, and just try to understand, because it seems like Lefty catches more shit than he gets credit.
Yeah.
In other words, if every time something flew over his head, more often than not, it's going to be shit dropping down, not praise.
Right, right.
And I find that odd, and I'm of the mind that's the defense people have who don't go out and do stuff because they're freaking lazy compared to Lefty.
Thank you.
Yeah,
they want to sit at diners and
I'm
get
not
stoned.
I'm not saying lazy. I said compared to Lefty, because you can't call somebody lazy because they don't do stuff like this.
Right.
I'm talking about lazy where they take comments and put them on Facebook, but don't copy and paste a valid comment
Right.
to where it belongs. Their legislature. Well, they're not going to do anything. If you don't have money, they never listen. You know, it would have been quicker just to copy and freaking paste a thing and let them worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Let them trash it. Or
then it takes longer for me to educate them and say, well, here's the deal. You do get marked off in a box by leaving any comment. You do.
Yeah.
And it does add up. I mean, if you go out and vote, your vote is kind of like that. It isn't going to win or lose the election. Why do you do that then? For the same reason, that's why Lefty does what he does.
Right.
Plus, you get somebody on record. There's something called culpable deniability.
right.
You only get to use it one time. Culpable deniability is when you say, wow, the program isn't as accessible to more patients than it is, and they only get a half an ounce per month, not two. Yeah, it's because they can't afford it. Then the legislator can say, really, I did not know that. Okay,
Yeah.
you know, how are you going to prove he knew it? You know how you're going to
Right.
prove? Somebody like Lefty gets him on record.
Yeah.
And they're on record somewhere, or it's in an interview, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have the benefits of being president where you can say whatever you want. It doesn't even need to be true. We all know it isn't. And that doesn't really work at this level. I mean, that would be nice, but it doesn't. So they can't say, I didn't say that. He got video of me with Joe Vitelli saying, well, good luck. When
I remember. I was here that day.
So, but that's what that is Joe Vitelli has no culpable deniability when it comes to knowing
When
what
it
the
comes back.
About, well, did you know this was hurting patients? Well, hell yeah. One told me about it one time when I was trying to be somewhere else.
Yeah, and they just wouldn't go away. Would not get out of my face. I remember that.
Okay, and the reason that
And it was in
happened
the
is
rain.
because Lefty insured a long time ago that this would be going on. The history of that is 2014. Jenny Storms decided she'd had enough, and she was going to come here once a week and express her displeasure over the situation in front of the State House. And, of course, we would come support. And then it was, just us with all your... Imagine not broadcasting, just sitting here right now. There's not a lot to do, So we'd yell at the buildings and stuff, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean...
So, yeah.
Protest. It's just a protest.
It wasn't like it is today with
9
social
weeks
media.
after Jenny got started, she moved to Colorado because that was where it was best for her and Jack's whole family. And so the next Thursday,
I know
first she was going back and forth. She'd be there, and then I would get the permit. Then that week she wouldn't be there, or I would get the permit for the week and she would get back, but already have the permit. And then when she was there, I just naturally got the permits, and we showed up because, kind of liked it.
Right.
But then what happened was, what about the next year? We went through the week before Thanksgiving. The next year, when are you going to do this? And I wasn't real thrilled about doing it because there's just not a lot you can get done. And Lefty brought up the possibility of broadcasting, and that was at the very first one. So we put it into overdrive, and neither of us had any money, so I had to arrange somebody to support us getting a hotspot so he could broadcast live. And it, wasn't really much of a setup.
Right.
But something about being able to do that, and instead of waiting for people to pass by,
right,
we were able to get this hotspot and broadcast to somebody that's not here.
Right.
And that was kind of nice. And then it just kind of started to grow. It was kind of tough the first year, but we were regular every Thursday, and then did 2 more years before I'd had enough of such regularity. But now here it's like 5 years later.
Now you're back.
Lefty's never been anywhere,
left.
Which is why I'm interviewing.
Lefty's never left.
This is his show, and I get to interview him today. And it's such a pleasure.
Right.
Because he is honest, and he doesn't stop and have that momentary balance in his head of how much information I want to let go. Lefty Jim.
What should I say? What shouldn't I say? How do I answer this question?
I am going to be honest in my answers, but I'm going to weigh the answer first, and then maybe bring back some of it that I don't know if I want out there yet.
Right.
Lefty's going to give you 1 through 10. I'm going to hold a few things back if nobody asks.
I like to control the narrative.
And it has to, but with me it has to do with, I'm not a vain person in particular, but there are certain things I'd just soon not bring up.
Right, exactly. That's why I prefer to control the narrative that way.
But Lefty will let the narrative go and things like somebody can call him a name and he's more concerned why than what you just called him.
Right.
Why would you call him that?
Right.
And it's not an instant defense, and he doesn't do the annoying, what about you? Or what about him? Or you do too? Or everybody,
pointing the fingers.
That's not a conversation.
Finger pointers.
That's not a conversation. I'll talk to the mirror when I want to do that.
Right.
I'm more honest with myself than people are with me. And
oh yeah.
I even like to candy coat stuff for me, about me, when I'm thinking about me. But so anyway, and I'm thinking in a way here, that's what I appreciate. I don't know if it's just me or what. You'll have a momentary break.
There was this saying, Jim, it kind of reminds me of what you're saying. It's, life asked death, why do people love me but hate you? Death responded, because you are a beautiful lie and I am a painful truth. Kind of goes along the lines of what you were saying.
Could you repeat that?
Absolutely. Life asked death, why do people love me but hate you? Death responded, because you are a beautiful lie and I am a painful truth.
Ooh.
It's a truth that you can't ever escape. So,
isn't life truth also?
No, because we lie to ourselves in many different ways to make our lives easier, so we're not seeing the full truth of what it is. Yeah. That's exactly what Jim said. Then what we hold back, for whatever reason it is that we're holding back, there's a reason we're doing it.
Let me, I experienced that at a young age, and it was perplexing to me, and I'll tell you what it was. is when I was maybe in 3rd grade, somebody said, "You're skinny and you have a big head." And I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't. I'd seen mirrors before.
Right.
And I went and looked in the mirror, and I turned sideways, and I saw a skinny kid with a big head. And then it's like, oh, right, Mom, you know, the little white T-shirts you get, Mom would have to snip the a collar to get it over my head. It wasn't that my head really was this big when I was born. It just like grew into it. You know? No, I'm serious though. My mom would love to tell people about that. Yeah, she had to do that. But my point is, I'd seen mirrors and I didn't look at it any other way. And then for the rest of my life, looking in the mirror, I could see every flaw there was, and even a few that there probably weren't. It was an about face. But it's a natural thing that I think some people cultivate comfortably.
That's why I don't look in mirrors.
Well, you know, I'm only going to say it like briefly because it's one of the three things I really never talk about. But people who can get really comfortable about religion and live a life by it have an advantage that I don't. And it's that I can't just do that with that, and I can't just do that in life itself.
Right.
You know, and I was made too smart by God to not understand that. I mean, I do understand that. But so we all deal with people, though, who can't be like Lefty. They're the opposite, where they do nothing but have automatic knee-jerk reactions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a playing field. You get to know who's who and where you belong on it, and it works pretty well. Just knowing the playing field, because people are consistent about it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Because one thing that bugs me worse than anything else is when you say something and somebody turns around and says, "But I'm disabled." Yeah? And so what difference does that make?
Well, you know, another thing, people, when they say, "I know what you mean," and I say that, I try not to, but I do.
You're not in my shoes. You don't know.
You really don't know.
Nope.
The same thing will affect different people entirely different.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know.
Head that when I'm meeting people, the first thing that they would see was the brace, and the first thing that they would see is the disability.
Yep.
And I'm one of those people that, yeah, I'm disabled, but I happily don't let my spina bifida encapsulate my whole life, because I'm bigger than that.
Well, here
yes,
you are.
that's
Here
part
you are
of
today,
me, but that's not me.
Yeah, but here you are here, and you didn't just show up. You got to get yourself here. You know,
right.
It's
that in-house person to be there. And honestly, I feel like I'm doing better now than I ever did before.
You know, it's something people take for granted that how they get around. You know,
I saw
but I never forgot the catastrophic injury that allowed me to be nowhere near the person I am physically.
That you were.
And it was the time I spent when I had to keep. Yeah, it was a long time. So basically, when we went somewhere, I had to be back sideways in Kathy's SUV in the car, 5 pillows a certain way, wheelchair, and out of the back. Watching people pull in and get in and out, and I'm watching their heads, and if all you saw was their heads, they'd be floating in and out. They weren't even thinking, like I was before I got hurt, that we would get out, and if neither one of us were hurt or slow, and I was stunned that it was so effortless. It blew me away. So now when I'm the fortunate one, and I don't forget it. But I also know that other people aren't going to understand when they see you here. You look like you just coming from the beach or something.
Right?
You know.
Maybe I am.
Well, you said it was a picnic.
But for me, I really do feel that I'm also fortunate, because in many ways, I didn't have a life-changing traumatic situation that, I was, quote, normal. I don't know how to make that change, because I've never not been differently abled. It's always been, even having conversations like this with you guys, because I know something happened in your past that is what led you to the position you're in today.
No, you have an understanding.
I can't ever even
But part of the
get
understanding.
what that's like. I already had, and I had to make a lot of adjustments in my life, but nothing like it would have been if I was, quote, able-bodied, and then it happened.
The understanding that helps me is how easy it is to not understand. But that helps me because it becomes less personal, you
Right.
know. When I lived with Cheryl on Route 37, 100 degrees and hot, and she has a motorized wheelchair, electric wheelchair. It goes 5 miles an hour. I'd walk like 3 if it was a good day, you know. And so I got in the wheelchair and used it.
Braces with my
so
wheelchairs
I
my whole life.
But I started sitting with my legs crossed. You know, I'm out kicking the legs. The surgical supply for community surgical on Route 37, and they have stuff outside. You know, a piece of equipment or something. And there's people.
Sorry, this is mine.
He thought I was stealing a wheelchair. He came in waiting for his wife to come out.
Wow.
Anyway. The thing is it's a hard thing to learn, and I ask advice from. I've come to the conclusion this is something you cannot pick somebody's brain on. You really can't. You know, I mean, why was I surprised sitting in a wheelchair?
Spider hanging from your hair.
He was cute.
It was. We didn't get a picture of it. And we got it on camera.
Just for the long, I am very. Good with spiders.
Which she can't
kill.
Yeah.
So just I
Yeah.
Yeah. So for like 19 years, I was spider smasher, and never more. You know, if it's
Right.
if it's a matter of, some are poisonous, but most are our friends.
Yeah, for me, when they cross inside, you're fair game.
Yeah.
As long as you're outside, we're good.
No.
I won't touch you. You don't touch. You're done. Under my shoe you go. But we try to get the Mac out. We have a little raccoon visiting us recently. This fun raccoon. He's playing in our.
So, let's talk about Lefty.
I'm right here.
Oh, you are?
I'm right here, you know.
I prefer you to be here. 'Cause if I'm going to talk bad about somebody, I do like to do it to their face.
No, people don't do that to me, though. They unfriend me,
Nobody
and they don't
does it.
tell me.
Exactly.
And
Okay.
like,
now-
why'd they unfriend me?
It's like, are you kidding me? That's a pussy move. I'm sorry. Like, I'll tell you what I think of you. I've got no problem doing it. And I prefer it that way. Because that way you know what I'm saying because you heard it from my
Can you
mouth.
explain something to me? Why are people so upset about Bongholio? I understand he's the nuclear option. I get that. But why are people so upset about it? Like,
Okay,
Well-
They either love it
explain.
or they hate it.
Explain example.
Bongholio. Oh, well, just people on the internet. Just
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna give
They're,
names.
Yeah.
they're wild.
Some people love it.
Anything out of the norm
Exactly.
is going to be
Exactly.
agreed with and disagreed with
Yeah.
by
Everybody.
anything. Start with national stuff and then go, oh my God, I can't believe what's going on.
Yep.
It's where it starts is on a local level.
That's political.
And that's what I was saying to
know.
somebody last night. I said, look, you may not agree with the methods. And if you don't agree with the methods, show
Yeah,
up
okay,
with
look.
some new ideas.
Yeah.
Because when you're the only one in the room, in a room crowd full of people, and if they don't agree with it, then they need to start showing
yeah,
the
but
F up.
Show up
and
and show
using
me
their voice.
what you're going to do.
Exactly, because all our voices together, that's what's going to make this happen.
I want
That's what's going to
ideas.
get us across the line.
Give us
But
ideas.
everybody's
Okay,
saying,
what do
oh,
they
you know
say?
what?
We got Lefty's got to
They
do the
said
majority.
they don't
of
like
this
him,
now.
and I said, I would say, well, what's your idea? And they're like, well, I don't know, but it's not that.
Don't do
So
him.
what? Okay,
Well,
let me
okay.
ask.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do him.
no,
Don't
let
do
me-
that.
Okay,
That's
let me-
wrong. Absolutely. That's why I backed up. I was like,
No, we love you coming here.
But listen-
yeah, you are part of the show.
Last night we went without Bongholio. We sat through 4 hours of. They were against low-income housing and wall, and they spent 4 hours talking against it. How it's
So
horrible.
you had to listen to, of course, a whole meeting till they get
4
to a
hours.
public comment section.
Yes.
Okay. It
was brutal.
And what time was that?
11:30, 12 o'clock.
And what time did you get there? What time did it start?
It's 7:30.
Yeah, bathroom. In fact, okay, now Assemblyman Sean Kane.
I like him.
What is he in that town?
He's the attorney, the township attorney.
He's
he's
township
the
attorney.
solicitor.
So he
something?
he
That's
sits
what
in
the
on
attorney
the business meeting.
Yes.
Not zoning. This is
No. The
is,
council
is the
meeting.
mayor there?
Yes, the mayor was there.
The mayor was there.
Yeah.
Okay. So was that already there for some time?
Was all in already.
Yeah. So like the longer it got, the less likely you were to leave.
But I had to stay because I wanted to talk about Ober.
And you didn't have to relate that to anything going on, just the fact that you had a whole township's attention for the work.
He one of the 13 that voted no.
It was an assembly bill, so obviously all assemblymen. But there's certainly more than 13 Republicans there. Many abstained. I don't know the exact out when they caucus, but it must have been, okay, we can't all abstain. It can't be like the vote was 42 to chicken shit. You know, I mean, it had to be a number. I think that should matter now, how they voted then. I mean, do you think it would be connected? And this is important. And
of course.
in other words, like, we have Assemblyman DeMeo, a Republican, who had, in this case, what's left of it, because governor has certainly shortened its shelf life. But he also was one of those 13 assemblymen who voted against that. The bill itself, the wording's what counts, not who wrote it, in my mind. Because it was never meant to be passed. It was written by someone who really had nothing to gain or lose either way. He'd already voted the wrong way, you know. What are people? I'm helping him without telling him. And the more I can get done before he finds it on this break when they're not with each other every day, work. Anyway, it's interesting because it's hard to argue against, and I'm using the time really not as much as I could, but really a lot more than nothing. And finding that nobody can argue against it, so the more I get it set up, the more, and I have a body of work with other Republicans that I'm calling on. You know, you can't very well say, okay, you're right, it was a diversion bill. The reason I introduced it was so every time you Democrats did something for medical marijuana patients, shouldn't be taxed at all, but we don't want to hold this bill up, so I'm going to vote for it, but I wanted to complain on record first. That's electioneering, it's public, it's playing your team play. It's a good move. I mean, it's how it works. So they're in that position, and I just can't convince people, no, everybody's there. But I don't, you know, it's a little more complex because, you know, I'm not going through, as I usually do, individual constituents who are patients, and I haven't been able to get patients to really enthusiastically want to take part either, or advocates pretty much. I mean, individuals, yes. I like that you were keeping an eye on Sean Kane. Did you get a chance to talk to him?
Not afterwards, no. I was out of there, dude.
Yeah.
I was gone.
I would guess.
It was so late.
What was the reaction in general? What was the crux of what you said then, that cannabis is good for dealing with opiates and opiate addiction, and it reduces the amount and less drinking, if truth be told. And did you hear any objection to that? Like,
no,
can you substantiate that?
No, they have a huge opiate problem. They have a bunch of motels on 34 that are constantly being called for Narcan.
Yeah.
Don't forget the Wawas.
And they
the
understand
Wawas.
the problem there. It's really bad.
Nice. If you go in there and just ask for it, you can get as much as you want, and they will not charge you for it.
Well, that's
Nice.
it's like really good.
Yeah, I found that out
It's really
yesterday.
good business, you know. I mean, like if I had extra paper cups and somebody walked up to my door and asked for some water,
Right.
so
Absolutely.
basically,
But Wawa
yeah.
does it so everybody knows if you're out there in the heat, if you're by a Wawa and you need something, go in. You can get any size.
This is what happened at the meeting last
I'm
night.
just saying, 'cause I
they
mean,
were asking for
it's an
people's
issue.
addresses. And these two women did not want to give their address out. And they felt very uncomfortable giving their address out.
What were they there to
to a-
speak about?
They were there to speak about
You
affordable
don't-
housing.
You don't need to know where I live.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
yeah.
And I could see how very uncomfortable they were telling their address to a bunch of old white men on a council.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, I would feel uncomfortable too as a woman, and I said something, and so
Just feel uncomfortable as a person.
Let's
You don't
walk
need to
by
know where I
18
live.
Garfield Avenue. Why don't we walk by?
they did that to us in La Valette. They said you got to give your address. I'm like, what if I'm homeless?
Yeah, I don't have.
Live at 420 Elbow Lane in Long Branch.
Okay. It just seems like the two women were very uncomfortable to give their address, and I think that should be taken into consideration, that it made them uncomfortable. That's all.
Duly noted, he said.
Assemblyman, thank you for your voting on medical cannabis. You've been very compassionate in your voting record for patients. I'm here to talk about medical cannabis, and we need more Christians like you in government that have compassion for the sick and the dying. We don't see that much. You voted yes for PTA. Guitar playing, singing bomb. We've been in all the newspapers. We've been on New Jersey 12 with this stuff. We've been getting a lot of coverage, and we're getting towns to come around with their ban on medical cannabis and to fix the ban. And a few towns have come around. But tonight, I think the bong would have taken away from the seriousness of what I want to talk about. L4, L5, I have a Fusion, L5 with S1. And I was on roxicodone for 10 years, 90 milligrams every 3 hours. It's an incredible amount. And I was a zombie. And I used medical cannabis to get off of these drugs. And it helped me, and I help other people to get off these drugs. If you talk to your police chief, he'll tell you how much Narcan you have given out this year, and it's all over New Jersey. It happened to my family recently. I'll get to that. But my story is that I used medical cannabis to get off opiates. And it was not easy. It took me months and months and a lot of cannabis, but I was able to do it. And if I knew what I knew now, I would use oils and suppositories, but I didn't know that then. When I had a 2-level fusion back in January, C5, C7, I was very nervous. I went to my pastor and I prayed with him because I was afraid to be back on opiates again. And it turned out that I had a good surgeon, God was with me. And last month I got rebaptized at Ocean Grove. And the night I was rebaptized, my brother-in-law overdosed on fentanyl and died. So the next day we had to tell his daughters, who are 16 and 9, that Daddy wasn't coming home and why. And my friend Jay, a couple of years ago, called me. He's like, Lefty, I saw how you got off all those opiates, and I know you have back pain, I know you have sciatic pain, I know you're in a lot of pain. I want to get off opiates too, and I want to get on the program. How do I do it? So I gave him the list of things you had to do, all the hoops you have to jump through. You had to pay a doctor a bunch of money. It cost me $1,600 over a year to get my card. So $400 a visit, $200 for your card, and then you go to the dispensary, get $500 an ounce for your cannabis. Well, it was easier for my friend Jay to go down the street and get a $10 bag of heroin and kill himself. And he died 2 weeks after that conversation. It's happening all over heroin. I guarantee that cop started with Big Pharma. I guarantee that cop was victimized by Percocet or OxyContin from an injury. You don't just start doing heroin. And these comes for PTSD that the side effects are suicide. Side effects are suicide, and those are okay. But if a cop has a prescription for cannabis, he'll lose his job. That's a stigma. A police chief recently died in up north, and the police chief actually became a cannabis patient at the end of his life. And he was very ashamed, and it gave him stress that he did not need. If you give a cancer patient stress, it's the worst thing. And that's what this police chief did not need, that extra stress in his life, to have that stigma. He can't even talk about cannabis being legal because it's federally illegal. Police chiefs can only tell you the bad stuff. They can't tell you the good stuff. The unions will not get behind this. The chiefs cannot talk about this because if you follow my videos, I've talked to hundreds of cops. They don't want to be victimized by Big Pharma. And this cop that was on heroin in his car, he needed medical cannabis. He shouldn't be shooting up in his car. It got to that point where he was doing that. Another issue is sick and dying. In New Jersey, we got it all backwards. The sick and the dying of New Jersey are giving tithings to the government. We have a 9% tax on cannabis. 9%. No other medicine is taxed. OxyContin's not taxed, fentanyl's not taxed, but medical cannabis is taxed 9%. The tithing is backwards in New Jersey. And that's what I'm fighting for. talked about your shower before, about low pressure in your shower. I know a woman who has drop seizures, and she's afraid to take a shower because she'll fall and she lost a tooth already. So I thank your voting record, Assemblyman. I hope that maybe we can push for home grow because patients cannot afford their medicine in New Jersey. We need to have more compassion for the sick and dying as Christians. That's what we're here for. We're on this earth for a short amount of time, a speck. For the years condemn at the going down of the sun.
And that was last night.
That's good.
And then Mikey spoke after that. Mikey told his story, and Mike, you want to hear Mikey? He got an ovation because he told his story about. Here, you want to hear it? This is good.
Yes, let's.
This is really good.
From Point Pleasant. And I struggled with addiction for many, many years. For over 10 years, I had an addiction to opiates that turned into heroin, and to stay addicted. It was a horrible, horrible existence, and it stripped the personality from me. And I tried to get clean many different times, and it was always to deal with. I wouldn't wish them on my worst enemy. And when I started using cannabis, I was able to decrease my dose of methadone, which was the last. I started to realize that I was able to pull myself out of the depths of addiction because but for me it was an exit drug. It's clean, of no opiates, and I credit a lot of that to the medical cannabis. Again, I'd struggled with it for so long. I'd always had the will to get clean, and I tried the normal programs, rehabs, these kinds of things, and I just couldn't do it. It was very difficult. Cannabis I was on 130 milligrams of methadone. So when you're withdrawn from that, it's a constant battle. Every morning, every day is a battle. And I was able to get over all that. And the medical cannabis was what was able to help me do that. So through all those years of addiction, I've had anxiety, depression, been sleep deprived, all these different things, and I don't take anything other than the cannabis. I use it as a treat-all. The health department in New Jersey now acknowledges it as opiate use. I do now. So I just wanted to echo what my friend Lefty here said. It was a solution for me, and we were doing this bong idea. We were coming around, and we were getting a lot of attention doing it, and we were getting in the news. Wanted to roll it back a little bit and talk about the seriousness of things, because it's not a joking matter. It's not a laughing matter. I wanted to share my story tonight. All right, thanks.
Tell you, the whole departure, you guys showing up like that was a fantastic 1-2 punch. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that you've shown up so many times, and to say or being listened to by a Republican assemblyman, and I got to think, what did Sean Kane think of that? This is what you get when they don't show up with a bong outfit. Other townships are going to now think, whew, I'm glad they're here with a bong outfit on because we don't have to take them serious. That's sort of like an effect from your detractors. You did exactly what they said you should do, and you knocked it out of the park doing it that way. Does this present a problem for you? I mean, I like the fact that it was set up. Okay, my point is, if you can be both Bongholio and that, and you intersperse that, not just like not like a one-time show, but would you consider going to closer to a 50-50? It looks easier.
Yeah, Bongholio's a nuclear option. We're going to use them as needed.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
because in effect, you're proving my point. You get people bitching at you on Facebook because, you make it a joke. You're exactly what they want. If there are less people like you, you're part of the problem, not the solution. And then you go, in effect, not prove them right about what they said, but you approve the basis
of what they
for
say.
what they said to be correct. But what you're showing them is that it would not have worked if you weren't bungholio first.
Right.
It
That's
has
true,
to do.
though.
It's like in White Men Can't Jump when Woody Harrelson said to Wesley Snipes, "And be careful if you miss this shot. You didn't get beat once, but twice by a white doofus." So
Right.
basically, what you're saying is we are bungholio, and if you want to have a serious discussion,
We can do that too.
yeah. So it's the fact that you're right and you guys are bungholio. That makes it, I think, more of a slam on somebody
Right.
trying to argue if they can't beat bungholio in a serious conversation.
Mm-hmm. Right? Exactly. I think, though, too, it
good
also
job.
caught them off guard because they were expecting bungholio.
Well, no,
That's what they were waiting for because
good.
it has been
Good job.
out there. And I think that's,
when effortlessly speaking a truth that didn't sound like you did a lot of research on, you just went and pretty much had organized train of thought for a couple of minutes that, if you wanted to do that now, you could, but it'd be a lot shorter of a podcast because you guys laid it out in about 10 minutes. That was good. And an ovation. Okay, what does that lay the foundation for then?
Hopefully this is going to open minds.
Is there any ordinances to or for dispensaries or places of business? And where is this, Wall?
In Wall.
In Wall?
They banned it in Wall.
Which? The recreational?
All cannabis,
right?
yeah.
Okay, or dispensaries. Well, in that case, man, it's without saying so, socially would help somebody if they were using opiates and used less. And this is
right.
without giving the real, the synergistic effect, and then you just need less, you do get the opiate, The end result was beautiful. You could skip all that and get to a standing ovation. That was the amazing part.
Yeah.
How did that compare to your last standing ovation at a council meeting?
Was that the one he got thrown out of?
No, seriously. Was that a first?
We've gotten clapped before.
Yeah.
I forget where.
Really?
They have drugs for that now.
It's good. Okay, which led for me wanting to get back a little bit, like, not so much who are you and where did you come from, but I'm trying to piece together,
Me too. Well, you started this with me. You started me. You and Cheryl started me.
Yeah, but okay, when was that? And
that was back in the 80s. Well, I met Pete Christopher in the 80s. He introduced me to you and Cheryl.
Yeah, this would have been in the 90s.
So it was in the 90s I met
early
you.
90s, really early 90s. We met Pete in 93, in March of 93, because we were about to take a little over 24 hours. And Pete, Christopher, and John Pease, formerly of Not So Much at the Time active in New Jersey Normal, came by just because I was flying blind. We had no help. We didn't know anybody. We knew nobody in New Jersey. This is a solo of an event in a state where the subject was not being talked about at all. At all.
Nope.
Year after year after year at all. That's why I was doing it.
Yeah.
It's like I've been doing this 2 years. I made sure that it wasn't a tree falling in the forest and nobody there would hear it and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And John P. sent out some faxes.
Faxes?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Oh, no, that was a new thing. That was a new thing. That was a new thing.
Took,
Are you
10
kidding
minutes.
me?
Oh,
He's laughing. This was the beauty of it all.
Yeah.
It's before that.
That was technology, man.
You would have to.
Remember, that was pre-cell phone.
Calls. But anyway, he did that, and I was most happy for that. But we did actually
That's when you actually had to do
we had
work.
a good send-off. The Asbury Park Press and the Ocean County Observer and the OBM radio did a thing. But and then we picked up ABC on the way, and there was he was a big proponent of video. The picture worth 1,000 words. What's video worth? Another 1,000, and it's 1,000,000 times more than could do. Would be to get in onto public access on TV. So you would make a VHS tape, and do stuff, and he was all about that. Okay. How did you meet Pete? Where did you meet Pete? What's up? Well, let's get the connecting factor.
This is kind of crazy.
Here.
I was just back in the day. What's that? What is that?
He was arrested for a vape pen.
Oh, he was arrested last night. Yeah, I saw
Yep, arrested for a vape pen, held for a couple hours. Sorry.
What was the question? How'd I meet Pete?
Yes.
That's really why. I didn't know Cheryl back then. I didn't know anybody. I was just like, I think pot should be legal for a lot of reasons. I thought hemp should be legal. I thought the whole, I just thought it should be legal. And I was calling around different places, New Jersey Normal. I was trying to find somebody. And
that's where you would start then?
Trying to find people that would help. Yeah. And somebody gave me Pete's number. So I called him up. He was living in Middletown at the time. I wound up talking to him for about an hour on the phone. I said, oh, this is cool. And there it goes. Started talking about activism, and it was great.
So you were a stoner
converted. I was a stoner converted into a medical.
Now, when did his passion for video and just at least recording, but nowhere, and he was a real by-the-book guy, which is good. And you're not so much like that.
Not at all.
Not at all. So, what was the first contact with video as a go-between for you? When did that happen?
Well, we started going out to places and recording with the big camera.
Places?
The DARE meetings.
Okay. On the subject of cannabis.
Yeah.
That was the big thing there. DARE spreading some incredible stories, and somebody had to dare to take the opposite point of view. That's like actually that was getting out there then.
Yeah.
Having opposition to a DARE meeting.
Yeah.
Wow. Then.
Ed Fortune got him thrown in jail for our video.
Okay, now that's just it though. Yeah, you went from videos, just he's doing stuff, but then came Ed Fortune, aka NJ Wheatnut.
Yeah, I've been following him for
and
years.
He was running for what public office?
Probably Congress or
something federal.
Something big.
Federal.
He's always running for something.
And you guys made how many? I saw these. I saw 2 or 3.
Yeah, he made some videos.
Videos
of Ed talking about freedom and cannabis and such, and the judge gave a gag order to him, said you can't talk about this, and he says, well, F the gag order, I'm going to talk about this, and he did, and the judge says, okay, in the clink for, I don't know how long he went to jail for.
Yeah.
So yeah, he still was
could he still get in trouble running an ad like that now?
Oh boy, I don't
know.
think
I mean, seriously, no, right? Who would get in trouble for that ad now?
That's crazy.
So somewhere between then and now, he proved he was right then. He was ahead of the time.
Oh,
he was ahead of the curve. So basically, meaning, are catching up with him, not the other way around. That's probably why he had the #1 spot on the most influential people in cannabis in New Jersey.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got me back in the day too early.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, between Cheryl Miller and Ed Fortune and you and Pete and all those guys, and John Pease and John Paff and
John Paff has filed more Freedom of Information Acts than probably the rest of the public combined.
Bill Buckman, that's where it started for me.
So, yeah, we didn't really cross paths on a regular basis. I'm glad we did because it wasn't until we started doing more stuff here after the law passed. I don't remember you showing up. I did. There wasn't much going on until then.
No.
Before 2010, and that's jumping a few years ahead.
Yeah, I was hurt. I was laying in bed, being a bum back then on opiates. That's where I was.
Well, Pete Christopher, the connecting link, he has a reputation of being rather abrupt, and I got to tell you, I like it. I really, it's amazing how much you can embrace that, because a conversation that would take a half an hour takes 3 minutes. And did he ever say this to you? It's like, I do something good, it worked out right, I'd be in the middle of acknowledging it, and he goes, well, listen, give yourself a gold star on your forehead. Can we move on? That would be his attaboy way to go. But it was kind of funny because, seriously, growing up, that's what a teacher would do to me, and it would have that effect, the correct effect on me.
Yeah.
It was never personal. It was, he was real abrupt, but
get the job done.
I can see how, So here you are now. You are the video guy.
I'm the video guy, the sound guy.
I mean, you get videos if you're not live, and now you're often live, and that in itself is the video if it's stored somewhere.
I'm not sure how good the video is today, but it's up there. We'll have to listen to it later. I don't know.
So you would come in. There was when Brian and Megan Wilson had a press conference here.
Yeah, that started me up on the recent activism.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd seen you in a while that I can remember. I'm trying to figure when would, and that would be 6 years ago, 7 years.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I always thinking before Hurt Feet, after Hurt Feet, and I got hurt, Memorial Day in 2012. It had to be after that because I met Brian I was like, this would have been 2013.
Yeah, I got my card in 2013, started going to police stations with Chucky.
So that's when you started doing that?
I believe it was Trenton.
And was it because somebody had an issue in Trenton, or you just started in Trenton saying, gee, I wonder if they know the rules? Yeah,
we rented a limo.
Where'd that come from? I wonder if they know the rules. Let's go to a police station and do this.
Yeah.
Let's say we're patients. We have the right to do this. Again, the best public consumption law by patients in the country, probably, that you do have that right. But what good is it if the police don't know?
But, Trenton was actually the second one. The first one was Keansburg. That's right. We're at a Chris Christie town meeting. I interviewed Mary Pat Angelini and Carrillos.
Really?
Yeah.
State Senator
got
Carrillos,
them all. Yeah, it was great.
And Assemblywoman Angelini.
And so me and Chucky are like, well, let's go smoke a joint. And we're like, okay, let's go down the street. Like, well, wait, let's go ask a cop where we can smoke it.
Oh, so it happened just
like that.
It played itself out.
It was just very organic and natural.
And so you went and what did they say there?
I had a camera on me already from Chris Christie, so I'm like, okay, we'll record the whole process with the police.
So Chris Christie started this.
Chris Christie's fault.
It was, if he didn't have town meeting, Chris Christie is the reason you have the INE.
Yeah, it's true. We were following Chris Christie around in his town meeting.
Then that's a good one.
That's true.
That's the segue there.
That's funny.
Well, it is, but it's a fact. I mean, I'm hearing that is the way it works.
And me and Chucky were like, well, where do we smoke a joint? And the cop is right there, so we figured we'd ask the cop, and he had no clue about the cannabis law.
Then what happened? There you are. He has no clue. You're in pain. You got cannabis. You're legal. What next?
See you later. Tactical retreat. See you later. Thank you.
Okay. And then you just went to where it wasn't going to be an issue.
And we medicated.
But
I was in shock. I was like, wow, the cops don't know.
This is hearing.
I thought this was a pre-planned.
If we didn't know this, and the police didn't know this, that's wrong. They should know. So maybe we should tell them.
Start talking about it.
But how do you go tell somebody that? How do you start the conversation? You do that. You be somewhere, and while you're there, you're going to be in pain.
So sativa
and
cross
then
and
it's
everything.
Going to but you're not going to be the little old lady who's finding out because somebody smelled it, or somebody that's easily intimidated. And you guys know this is playing out all over the state right now. My God, there are patients everywhere in post.
No.
You react by...
We went back to Keansburg, and they ignored us. So we went back a third time, and they ignored us.
You mean ignored you?
They wouldn't come to the window.
The police?
The police would not talk to us. So then the fourth time, we went to the council meeting.
Okay, that's how you got to the council meetings?
That's how we started going to council.
That's a straight, quick, direct path, isn't it?
4 times we had to go to Keansburg to get Keansburg.
Okay.
So the only premeditation in all of this was when you guys decided that patients needed to know, and so did the officials.
This is the awful, horrible Lefty Grimes. I'm hearing Saint Lefty here. I mean, holy crap. What you're doing is the most take part, direct route, the direct route, not writing a letter, not waiting for a reply, going to where it's going to be.
We've tried that too.
Yep.
Now, how did you come up with this great name, the Ignorance is No Excuse Tour? That's a great name because police would be like, we didn't know, we didn't know, we didn't know.
Right.
And you are the Ignorance is No Excuse.
Yeah. You can't use that.
We can't say that, so how come you can say
That's
that?
true. We can't. As
I hear that all the time.
people who live here,
I
we
went
cannot
out,
say that to an officer. I didn't know, sir.
I went out
No.
on one of the earlier things one time. It was up in Spotswood and something.
You were in Spotswood with us? Was
Yeah, way back then. We stopped at by the veterinarians place.
Yes, yes.
Remember that?
I remember Atlantic City with you.
No, this was the first. The
first.
Atlantic City came after that. We were talking about that, and I was very adamant about that. I would always be hearing ignorance is no excuse for the law. They would always, that was the whole phrase.
Yes.
Ignorance is no excuse
for them.
Right.
Yeah.
for the law. And then I hear he's got an INE tour, and I'm like, well, ignorance is no excuse. You know what I like about that? It's for the law applies to when, of the law, is usually to people who are breaking the law and they say, I didn't know it was against the law. Well, ignorance is no excuse. You're under arrest. So now it's the shoes on the other foot.
Right.
The arrest is wrong, and the person being arrested is saying, I'm sorry, you're wrong, ignorance is no excuse.
Right.
I found that,
Flip the script.
again, to be the most direct route. It's like you're an android, just, it's the most obvious, well, what you should do reaction, and keep doing it. But you get shit for it these days, is what's amazing. I went to a police station with you in Atlantic City, and we went to casinos one time, because what happens if patients are in casino and they're in pain?
There's cigarette smoke everywhere.
Yeah.
There's cigars and tobacco.
So okay, you know what the shortest route is? This is not going to surprise anybody. It's not like just lighting up and seeing what happens. Lefty goes in, and company, to the casino, and they go ask to speak to security. And they end up with the head of security, and they go through it. And I remember thinking, this is weird, because while you were waiting for security, I said, I'm playing a slot machine for a minute, thinking, this is activism is tough. And
I want to go to Atlantic City.
it seemed to be the casinos where, of course, we have nowhere inside, even though we allow cigarette smoking. We don't allow it anywhere inside.
Absolutely.
And it would be outside where you would smoke cigarettes. If you were like in the lobby and wanted a cigarette, where would you go? Outside? Well, you'd be outside.
Right.
And the Atlantic City police I found interesting, because then we went there.
Yeah.
And went to Atlantic City Police, and their take was on it, well, listen, you can go right outside, but go across the street, not right in front of the police station. This way it's not like adversarial.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Well then.
So, I mean, I can just imagine somebody calling the police, and they're like, we'll get right on it.
Yeah. We'll be right there.
Maybe
But,
they'll come out and say, hey, can we join you?
Yeah,
But, even that was telling for me that there wasn't, going to think you've been to. Do you have any idea?
Over 100.
Has to be.
Over 100.
Easy.
It's got to be slowing down unless you're doing repeat police stations, because
Yeah, we're
there's not that
repeating
many. You're
Well,
already,
they didn't hear the first time, so they're going back.
There's 566 municipalities in
Yeah.
New Jersey, so there's
So did you
Avon one by request.
Let's see. Oh my God, Verona.
You went to Verona by request,
I get a phone call one day or a text.
and Verona is where?
It's up Essex County.
I'm not real. I know it's not in my.
It's up by me.
Yeah, me neither. It's not
Okay.
in my realm.
And a cop just texts me randomly. He's like, I've been watching you and such, and I'm just wondering why you haven't come to Verona.
Well,
Why, you
that
want us
sound-
there?
Yeah.
That's.
It was so
It's
crazy.
awesome.
It is.
It was
So-
great. We had a good conversation.
Well,
and
that wasn't.
And then you went?
Okay, that didn't sound like a challenge. That
No.
sounded like, hey man, this
Please
is,
come.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
need
so,
help.
I mean, not to be misinterpreted.
But what was funny is that he says you got to come after 12 o'clock at night. You got to come like 12 o'clock in the morning. I said, really?
Nobody will see you. Use the back door. Knock twice on the back door. Could you wear a cleaning man's outfit?
Are you bootlegging?
Man, that was hairy because I'm like, okay, I'm like, I'm not gonna wimp out. I'm going. So I went up there and we had a nice conversation. And I had my cameras going. He's like, listen, I'm gonna take you in the back room now. He's like, you have to take the cameras off. You have to turn them off if we go in the back room. I said, all right.
You're going on faith now.
I'm on faith here. I'm going to do it. So I turned my cameras off. We started walking in the back room, and the lieutenant's like, get him. I'm like, oh. They're like, ah! They started laughing at us.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm like, you guys are so funny. I love you. You guys are assholes. You're the best.
Holy crap, man. They got you
They got me good because I was so scared. I was very apprehensive. And they're like, get him.
Yeah.
I literally jumped out of my skin. I'm like, oh, they got me.
Well, yeah, you would. I mean, it's strange up to that point.
I'm disarmed. And my camera's off. I'm like,
yeah,
you
it's
take
off. It's late at night. Nobody's around.
I'm going to disappear now.
You could disappear. And then,
And
basically.
you're in Jersey, which makes it even more possible that you'll end up.
Yeah, if for some reason loud music had gone on, that's non-threatening. If loud music went on, you'd have jumped out of your skin. I mean, you were set up. If somebody tapped you on the shoulder, you'd have at least done that then.
And that's the reason I advocate for cops, because of those guys reaching out to us and having
They're
a great
not
conversation.
all bad. They aren't.
They gave me a PBA card, and I'm like, okay.
Austin and I went to a fishing club that
How long ago
our
is it?
township done.
Town hall meetings, because when did it start that they were passing local ordinances against any business having anything to do with cannabis, including
a year ago, right?
A year or two ago with Reed. I think it started in Shrewsbury and then Point Pleasant.
Yep.
We're going to Shrewsbury soon, actually. And
Your approach that I saw was really, really good. Discussion fits all.
No,
but
it's always changing.
But that you said, a real quick direct mention. This is like an addition, not a criticism. I'm just saying, because everything you said spoke volumes about that if recreational marijuana became law, that people smoking it would lessen the effects and amount of opiates, other drugs, drinking. It means people getting as high as they feel like getting without opiates, and eventually weaning down, and that there's a clinical connection between the two. That is the definition of synergy, and if you define synergy, the sum is greater than the total of its parts. Basically, that there'll be therefore more of an opiate problem in areas where people can't get cannabis, or it's just, mostly it's happening now, as Mike was showing and you're talking and all patients are talking about, You know what I found out? I don't want to forget about it. A quick little sidebar, looking at the reasons for being in the program now. The most is chronic pain, the kind that was pulled out by Herb Conway.
Yeah, thanks, Herb.
But it is the highest percent. Then muscular skeletal pain is second.
Yep.
It's chronic pain is past that. Boom, like that.
Yep.
In a year, past all the other kinds of pain that we're getting in a year. That means that pulling it out costs that many people legal access to medicine.
Terrible.
Exactly.
For all that pain. Now, don't you think that assemblyman should be made to explain why he took it out in the first place?
He should be, but
he was
won't.
okay. But he hasn't. See, this is this is like the nuance. He hasn't, and I have a very good way into his office with a constituent, and we're going to be dealing with that. But actually, I have a philosophical conundrum. I think that as the head of the health committee, that him announcing if A, 4571, which sits in his committee, if it got simple as that, if he would say that, I don't need to know while he took pain out. I want to give him two choices. I need to know if you're going to not bring this bill up to get rid of the sales tax entirely for a vote, because Democrats are playing you for fools and you're falling for it, bringing it up for a vote And having it passed is letting go of the rope. You've already been dragged towards the mud pit in a tug-of-war because Murphy's slashed the big end of sales tax. It's not going to happen. They're not getting any of the big three because now it's 50,000. It's going to be 200,000 then. They get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So Governor cut what they wanted down to 20% because he couldn't get rid of it all. And my job is to see that Herb Conaway sends a message to Republicans. I think it's a diversion bill. I think the whole reason you brought this up was so you could complain. That's Herb Conaway. He's going to have to pick a side of a fence here. And all I have to, who are legislators not only in the state, and he told me I should call you, something about what comes next. It'll be
what
a fun.
What does come next?
Well, in Frank Pallone's case, in other cases, it was. In Chris Smith's case, I brought funeral flowers. I brought Cheryl's funeral flowers from Normal. I brought to his office like I was a delivery man in a suit because I just come from a service. Screamed, looked like he was trying to flag a subway or a bus or something. Like stop! But then most at one time. He wrapped it up. He rolled off 300 feet of a law we were ignoring, and he scrolled our office all the way, wrote on it, had a banner saying no legislation is necessary, and report me because that meant me famous.
Right, that's true. It
so
would.
They had to eat it. That's the playing field that's in our favor. Playing field's in our favor here.
So you took paper and just raped it around?
No, what I was saying is
the law, right?
there was a 1981 Controlled Dangerous Substances Therapeutic Research Act depended on somebody asking the health department to ask the federal government for their legal marijuana to give to our health department, who would give it to doctors, who would then give it to patients, and then they would report back federally. They'd give them a sample supply because they had this program that they had had just closed down, the investigational new drug, where they were doing that with patients like Elvie. Anyway, I got in touch, and I'm seeing on Adelphia TV their reply, because they'd be tracked in legislating law legalizing marijuana use until all questions have been answered. That's a quote. So I did this again, and they replied again as if they had to legislate something. All I wanted was for them to ask the health department, there's a law. And it was done by a Senate Republican without dissent in 81, Senator Bassano, So I got copies of the law, and with a fax machine, you can tape off like 3 feet, So basically, I scotch taped 3 feet together and then sent it through the copying part of a fax machine and copy it out 3-foot sections of the bill. There was about 2 would fit on it. And then I got 250 feet together because I paced off the building, this square in Brick Township, right by what was Laurelton Circle before that. Very high volume. And I made, on the back of it, I scrolled it, like it was this wide, and I wrote 1981 CDS Therapeutic Research Act, ... No legislation is necessary, ... 1981. This is over the law itself. I'm doing that in both red and green magic marker with cool little squiggly stuff because it's the beginning of the holiday season, Thanksgiving, Yeah, right, like that.
He made his own wrapping paper.
Beautiful.
Okay, then I made
paper.
Then I made a 3-foot banner on a roll of white paper that said no legislation is necessary. Okay, fact is, if you look at it, and I tell you that I got a picture where you see legislation or whatever is necessary, but what the sign said, because when you make a 3-foot scroll in a like 8-foot by 6-foot room, you're only at the part of the scroll that you're at. And, you do a bunch of letters, and then you do a bunch more letters. My sign, when I unrolled it, said, no legislation is necessary.
Oh, no.
It did.
Oh, no.
I didn't care, though. It was down. It was actually, we put it up on my brother Rick and me about 2 o'clock on Wednesday before Easter. And there's just, like, cars everywhere, And when you act like you own the place. Oh yeah, and you can buy foil that's light enough, red and green, that when you open it up, it's 3 feet wide and like 15 feet long. So I made 2 big bows, one for each side of the yeah. And four I got pictures. 4 boards of poster paper like a card, and it said to Andy, Dave, and Jim from Cheryl and Jim, you know where we live. But
no address necessary. You know us personally.
Yeah. So anyway, that I'm just saying that's what happens. That I can say to Herb Conaway, ask Senator Holsapple how it's going to go if you want to ask a Republican who gets it worse than Democrats usually, but for you I'll make an exception. You're a Democrat. I'm going to give you Republican treatment. I'm going to give Republicans Democrat treatment. We're in a bizarre world right now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, but what is he going to do? What is his staff going to do? Now, the reason I say his staff, we talked about knee-jerk reaction. Herb Conaway has to assimilate this. I don't want him to assimilate it from me because he has his defense up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want him to talk to somebody on his staff. The staffer's job is to sit there and say, I can't offer anything how I feel about it or the assemblyman, but I'm here to take your information and try to understand. And good. That's the system that works for us. You go in, you lay your cards out. You and him got no problem. He's not the guy that even has an opinion. Right. It doesn't matter. He's irrelevant. So you basically show that you got a straight flush. But you can't win that way. The only way you can win is keep away. And then I get to make the case through 25 years of experience since pushing a chair across the state in 1993. Oh, is it 26 now? Yeah, that let's understand that I can't put that genie back in the bottle. There are people running by Frank Pallone's house now. They ride by and go, oh, a congressman lives there. There's a guy with a wheelchair and a sign on it picketing one time,
Mm-hmm.
You can't put that genie back in the bottle.
No, you can't.
All your neighbors know, that's for sure. Actually, that was kind of testing the Patriot Act as well, because consensus was I would be arrested. And then more of a consensus said, but you don't give a shit, do you? No. Let's see, Cheryl died like 6 weeks ago. You think I give a shit, really? Even a little one? Anyway, yeah, I made some hay out of that, though. So, you take things to a different level in tenacity. I don't get out tenacity a lot, but you'd still do this and I don't, I mean, I show up once a month now, but you're an every Thursday guy somewhere.
Yeah, I got to do it now while I can.
Yep. That's me too.
Yeah.
Right now I can get up and I can be here.
Yep.
So I need to. To me, it feels like I would be letting down my community if I didn't, if I wasn't here, because I have a big mouth.
Well, you get to speak for a lot of people who aren't here, who through parallel course at least understand. And to me, the whole reason for this podcast can be summed up by one person, and is really why I did more than 1 year, or past the second year even to a third, but it was more than the first year, was Tony.
Oh, man.
When somebody listens to the podcast for a year who's like, geez, really big, like because of opiates, medication.
Tony.
Would you like to sit down and talk with a microphone at all? You all miss Jim Wayne, but
Jim Wayne's here, believe it or not, but he's leaving with his poochie.
He's in the club of Jims that at times I think was 4.
No. Don't eat anything. Just say bye-bye.
Want a free chair?
No, we have enough, please. I have an extra one already this week. People give me their chairs. They're like, here, I'll get it back for me next week, and then I just accumulate chairs.
I got Steve Connell's chair there.
I got a bunch.
All right, man.
All right, Jim.
Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Peace out.
Yep.
Take it easy, Jim. And this new member of his family, I don't recall.
She's so pretty.
Yeah, it's a cute little poochie.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, again, people get to come out and say hi while they're here, even when there's nothing going on.
Mm-hmm.
little busy this week.
But, I mean, there are some things going on. We had fair employment to a little bit of extent.
Well, there is a possibility of
I mean, there's got to be a catch
departure.
to this somewhere. Like, I read it, and I'm thinking, it seems to me like it reads that you're only a covered employee if you're a new employee, if you're passing the drug screening process in the very beginning, they can't hold it against you. But it kind of seemed like they have some weird way with the whole New Jersey being they don't have to give you a reason.
Right.
Yeah, there's
so
things
it's
going on.
Hurtful.
Yeah. Did we really get any help at all, or did they say if you're not working, now you have no excuse to get your ass out and get a job because now you can pass the drug test at least if you're a medical marijuana patient?
Well, they pass a law and then they find out how it works in reality because until it gets put to a public test, you don't know.
Right.
And beyond that, my cannabis care doctor was Dr. Medvedovsky, who would be like Dr. Marijuana with more patients than anybody, so many that it took a whole company to take over his patients when he left to make a smooth transition. Now, I'm the one that what I would complain about what the bill doesn't do, and I'm sure I can go back on Facebook record and see me sticking up for the best thing that happened to me was I have a compassionate rate of $70 for my recertifications rather than $100, and that cost me $280 a year. Dr. Medvedovsky, the last 2 times I went directly to the office he is at, and when he would be there that day, and then I didn't pay anything. So, I mean, he went and got it back one time when he saw me there and he walked by, he went right over, you must have paid money already, and got it back. But that's not neither here nor there. The point is I'm using $70 as the compassionate rate, and this is where we are, $280 a year. To do that. You know what I didn't say? Plus how hard or long it is to get there. It was, to me, always $280 a year. That's the factor. It never came with mileage and what time and how long it took. It's always about money. It's about excess through having the money to afford as long as you can't grow it. I mean, that's the way it backs up. So how long have I been doing this? You think I'm done being naive, right? And one person did mention on Facebook, I saw this coming, but I didn't see anybody here's what's coming. And that wasn't the post. Otherwise, I would have thought, does that have merit? Yeah, maybe. But what I thought would happen would be I'd have a similar rate one time a year, and I would use $70 as the example. Right. They take over, his practice if it wasn't going to leave too much of a dent. So I thought, look, I'm saving $210. That buys me an amount of medicine that I couldn't buy before. That is more accessibility. That's a good thing. I put that out there. Guess what happened when I got a letter from Canacare docs, and I'm looking at $250 for a recertification that lasts a year.
Whoa.
The veterans discount is 20%, brings it down to $200. I couldn't find the part about compassionate discount, Medicaid patients. So they get the same discount. Every dispensary
gives it.
Everywhere, this is what's going on. This is also what doctors' offices were doing as well, at least in keeping in connection with everybody else. So it's $250 when I got to go back in September, and then I don't have to go for a year. I'm not that thankful for not going. I get to talk to people in the office. It was never a tough trip. I fill out an iPad thing, give them $70 and the doctor would say, no, you don't. But even if he said, okay, that's fine. And now I'm faced with this. Well, it turns out there certainly are other doctors I can go to. I'm obviously going to try to do that. I'm going to see about my own primary and seeing if there's something we can work out on that. We talk freely about it. She has patients. I had no need to talk about, will you recommend patients? I didn't ask her that, And, but we do talk about that. In the end, I'm looking at it like a normal patient, not somebody that might have options or know people and been doing this for so long and not intimidated. I'm going to stay a member of the program because that's how it works in my life. I need that. If I have to pay $250, I would, but I do it first thing in the morning, and I would have one of the ruder signs you could make publicly and hold it up for the rest of the day out in front of the driveway into their place, and I would put that freely in the public domain. But as it is, back the old days, the things that we were talking about, what you had to do to faxes, all I had to do is type this up and bitch on Facebook like other people do and let people tell me what they think. But all I did was include the word Sue Livio, who is the reporter for the Star Ledger, who does all the marijuana stories, always has, always will. She delegates them to whoever else when she doesn't. So I was able to type her name that long. 17 minutes later, she typed back, "Wow." We don't have to talk. Right after she typed that, Peter Rosenfeld typed in, "Yes, I've been hearing that too," knowing she's going to get somebody else weighed in. See, that Peter knows how this is what Facebook is good for, especially when people trust you or the main reporter. I'm Missy Jan Heffler of the Enquirer, who took your place. But so at least we're able to address it that way, and she will address that issue. But how could I have been so wrong? How could I have not seen that coming? That they would do that. And I do want an explanation, and it would be $1 bills. I mean, you think I'm not going to give you $250 to count out to, that means you're earning at least two of them. Counting
pennies, you want pennies?
No, actually, I've seen successful challenges to that. I don't think it's the each dollar says legal tender on it.
Gotcha. So the legal tender.
Yeah, it's right there. You can point to that. Have fun, and that would obviously be the last appointment. I would have a year to have to get a new one. But it is an issue that if I didn't know that, does the governor know that? We can't just assume that he does. Do other
Probably not.
No, probably not. I'd like to think that they aren't ahead of the curve or I'm that far behind.
Right.
So after I'm now looking and finding references being made to that and a list of things that make it more accessible by virtue of the cost. So they were wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, while it does save me 9 cents per day. That's what it saves me now.
Wow.
You know what that saves me? If I get a large coffee at Wawa, it costs $1.91. The change comes down in the thing right next to a place where you put change for DeBoer or something.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald.
That's my 9 cents. The money that they're saving me is the money that I pay to Ronald McDonald when I get a large coffee at Wawa. Thanks. Now they don't get the money anymore. I got to keep that 9 cents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 9 more cents than you had before, so yeah, you got to keep it.
No, it's sort of like, I don't know if I have that much image consciousness. I don't want somebody seeing 9 cents there and me taking it and putting it in my pocket as opposed to the thing right next door. I haven't stood and done a survey and seen what the percentage is, but I'm pretty sure that's why it gets it. Trick is, how do you get something to do with cannabis to be at the end of that?
Right.
Yeah, people are willing to give to a good cause as long as it's not too much. I found a way to get people to do that, taking care of Cheryl. When Philip Morris had what I would call a quiz ticket, they'd ask you a question, multiple choice, like 4 answers. It was like, is this a circle? Yes, no, whatever,
Right.
In other words, not challenging questions. And you could send it in and win a prize for them. No, what happened is the more you collected them, and they would have at the end of the first month, then the second, then the third, not month to month, or running whoever you turn in the most to them, and you win $5,000, 10 $1,000 winners, $5,000 winners, several,
Wow.
Right. So I start finding these all over, and I find a guy who's paying a quarter for them, thinking he'll pay a quarter because how many are people going to send in? And so my job became, I could get these for a quarter a piece. I would take off 2-liter soda bottle. I'd cut off servers like about a softball size, and not even a hand, this much size to drop things in. I put a thing with a picture, I think, picture of Cheryl, saying that, you know, we're doing a thing here where, you know, she didn't get to do much, but we're trying to win some money because we don't have any money and blah blah blah. And 7-Elevens put them in, Wawa's put them in. I had a route, you know, yeah. You know, an adult bookstore put them in. I went there as a joke, and yeah, they did. And I'll tell you what, not for nothing, but
it probably made pretty good money.
Well, what happened is, in the timing of the months that it took out there, people got used to it, and they would save them up. And the Wawa the 7-Eleven in Lakehurst was good. So anyway, this guy ended up paying me like $800 over the couple of months that I did that. That's serious money.
Wow.
But I also was at one point on the divider between the east and west traffic on Route 37 at Fisher Boulevard, a main area. And there'd be litter, and I'd see all these cigarette packs. I'd stop, and for $1.50, I'd get maybe 6 in about, 15 minutes. I had to do what I had to do. I had no shame. And I'd be out there. I think I grew up here. People looking and going, is that Jim? What's he doing? You know, it's not a bag. But anyway, it's a matter you do what you got to do, and it does add up. So basically, that 9 cents per day that they saved me with my recertifications fees, or so they thought. I did better with quiz tickets. I mean, I did better searching trash and found more money than that. See, I'm remembering the connections to things now. I think I'm getting rid of my forgetful streak. I think that's because of that. Yeah. And it's nice to be able to sit here, again, even more than once, and feel thankful that we get to do what we're doing legally.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
We do. And as far as, okay, that dab rig there, does the state sell that? Okay, but here's the store. They sell what does make that, and it's not it's not against the law to turn it into something else on a legal device. Go away.
I know.
Please go away. Don't become part of the story. And you haven't had any problems, really. What's the worst that's happened at a police station? Not the first year, once you started doing this. What's the worst that happened?
I dropped my jar in Linden.
Oh, yeah, but no, I mean, what's happened? That was that was...
It was awful.
We're going to revisit that in just a second.
That
I
was
just want to,
awful.
other than that, what happened? And then that is going to be
the
fun.
worst thing?
Yeah, other than that.
That was it.
I mean, really, you would... I see you say, well, I'm going to go out and medicate where I know I can.
Yeah.
And you do your job if you feel the need to, and the job was never done.
Right. I did the attorneys general's jobs.
Yeah.
Per Christie.
Yeah, you did that all those years.
Because they didn't disseminate the guidelines. The cops didn't know.
That was the whole point. And what got to me was I watched the one of you in Trenton who has a female
that was a
officer,
good one. Lieutenant.
And a lieutenant in charge of the entire police force.
She was great.
In charge of the entire police force. But at that time, I don't know when, I think the number was 8. You posed this to her. She went, found something out, and came back to tell you what she found out, which was what you already knew.
Mm-hmm.
And she told you, but she prefaced it by saying, what I'm going to tell you now, I have 8 officers on the street right now that do not know this. Boom. Gold right there.
Yep.
That's the gold. She came back, mission accomplished, that's what you do. Segregate that. Start out things with that and say, you don't know about why I do what I do. That's what I do. I'm doing the Attorney General's job.
People just like to hate. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is. But see, that also keeps you sharp for the people you deal with that need to deal with you.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
And you never really seem to take that personally, and that's where it comes undone. Nobody gets under your skin where you're going to terribly raise your voice in an angry way. If you do, it's because they're getting too far away for them to hear you. It's not for another reason. But you don't display that anger, and I find that to be why you are a good representative, and the fact that you can go out with Mike and do the Bong Holio routine and combine that with serious talk. I'll come at, if you're at something and it's really close to where I am, it's not like I'm trying to be a fair weather friend, it's that, seriously, man, as you get older, do an actual what do you call it?
I know.
Yeah.
You have limited time and energy.
And free time.
I know.
And you look at your life and say, the time, it's my time. How much do I have?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm blessed, dude. I have free time.
Yeah. Well.
And I'm using it.
And you're using it for, again, you're not wasting the time.
I'm not wasting
So I'm not saying it's a waste and all, but I would back you up with the serious conversation, but it's really hard when it's going to be total of 3 hours driving time, including whatever time it takes, And I wouldn't be waiting till 11 o'clock to do it. But, this way you can, well, but if you're going to do the Bongholio thing, I'd love to follow that. I would. I'd love to follow that. We could take them right from laughing to laying it down. And it takes somebody like you to get their attention. Now that they got your attention...
Wait a minute. So you want us to do the Bongholio, promenade out the door, and then you want to go up there and hit them with some reality after that?
Yeah. Not the other way around.
We would need a cameraman to do that. Someone would have to grab the camera as we promenade out and film you. Well, the whole thing... I want a continuous flow of stuff. So, all right, we could do this.
It'd be really cool to pass the camera back to somebody.
All right. We'll make that work.
The thing is,
that's good.
You're going to offend them. They're going to be, oh, wow. And I'm going to come up and make you right. I'm the co-founder of the coalition. I have a suit and tie on. I don't want you to be the best dressed person there. Actually, you and Bongholio together, you and the jacket and that.
The nice tie.
Yeah, that works.
I think I like that.
That works. It's best of both worlds.
I like that.
I'm willing to go that far.
Yeah.
You look good like that. You professional.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and again, where do we learn that? Pete Christopher.
Yes.
Always. I mean, this is his, and I've got to say his influence on me has been really positive.
Me too.
And is still with me. I still make sure there are no nose hairs when I go out publicly. Pete Christopher. Cut that bush growing out of your nose before you go. You never know. You know what? He was like all that. The video you were at that thing. What Brian and Megan did years ago with all the letters and about the kids and all boxes.
Letters for Vivian.
Yeah, that was so crowded there. It was apparently, and you were there, but you were also squatting down a lot. You're having a lot of physical.
I was in a lot of pain.
A lot of pain that day. But the next day, in like the Asbury Park Press, they had a picture of me, because I had a bit to do with that, and it was somebody sitting on the floor next to me. Took a picture up. I never cut under here. Even now I got a fairly trim beard. I trimmed my beard and I gave it that nice edge and I shaved it all down. Why? Pete Christopher, Gonna have a tie and everything on. What's it gonna do? When you're like this and there it is. It was almost like, yes, Jim, click. You take his advice seriously, And but anyway, the combination of you and Bongholio. How many people do you think don't know Beavis and Butthead?
Not many.
Not many, but there are. And the funny thing is, when you have it to be Bongholio, there are people that don't know the Bongholio routine and Beavis and Butthead.
Maybe.
You're going to town hall meetings, dude. There are people there at town hall meetings that are sitting there with the expression on their face that says they don't even know who Beavis and Butthead are much, unless you Bongholio.
What is that thing? Is that a pipe? It looks like a toilet in there.
Right,
what is that?
It's a bong, and the guy inside it, the guy in the bong looking out through the hole is Bongholio.
It's hilarious.
Bongholio.
It even looks like Cornholio.
There's no way to So
his head sticking out. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's the best thing ever.
Well, Cornholio again on bunghole, and then now you got.
I need terpenes for my bunghole.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
So anyway,
But yeah, it's been effective. It's our nuclear option, and we're going to use it when needed.
Yeah. Well, you didn't need it on the one you showed.
No.
You got actually.
We did not need it. We did. It was not. I'm telling you.
It would have been. There's enough to say though that if I had a list of my laundry list of things to say and followed that. There's still things to say.
Oh my God, there's so many.
So if it was people who can get up and not say the same things, not like here's the piece of the pie and you take this. I mean, in a way, if I know about what you're going to do, I'm not going to talk. There's no way that Mike's going to tell his personal story, and what you say before him was support in advance of his story.
Yeah.
So there's more support. Everything could be built around his story, you know. I mean, it's no matter what we do, that's what they need to hear, and that's what's going to get the reaction. But for you to set it up first like that made them understand the importance of what he was saying, and where you're not going to wander off. And that was, well done. I don't care if it was by accident or by design. You could be a lucky bastard or a promotional genius. It doesn't matter. That was awesome,
No, I follow the patterns, and I think that's what God wanted us to do.
Yeah, well,
seriously do.
There is. I have what you would call God. I have, I guess, an instinct that I call my God. I have a name for it, my God, and I'm Ralph, and I mean that sincerely. I sincerely do.
You have a name? That's awesome.
No, but I do, and it happened actually in my darkest hours in the hospital, and I couldn't get out, and I couldn't sleep, and it was my INR, my blood rating. They were find out, oh my God, you got to be on warfarin blood thinners because I have had a fluttering heart my whole life, and they're freaking out by it. And I'm like, I got me this far, but they're freaking out, And they couldn't control it. And at one point it was like, seriously, I was having the probably a worse mental problem than I did when Cheryl died even. Somehow that made sense. This wasn't making sense, And it was just like, and everything hurt so oh, man. It was awful. And then out of nowhere, a guy, Rudy, came in and he said, well, I'll shut the door and turn off the light. And when he did, the hospital just got quiet, And I felt a calming thing, like what people talk about, I wouldn't like, oh God, please, or anything. But I felt it, and it was real, and it was calming, and everything played out perfectly from that moment on. And I was out of there in 3 hours, and I had no way of knowing that was going to happen, but I did. How did I know that was going to happen? How did I know then, just when the door closed, and I knew it was, everything said it wasn't going to happen, and Rudy went and found a way and this and that, and if you take these, I gave myself shots myself in my stomach and I got out. But honestly, when I think of it as a God that fits in anybody's particular box, I can't buy into the whole box, so I don't buy into any of it, but there's enough parts of everybody's box. I got one of my own, where it borrows from exactly what you're talking about, but it also extends it to something else. And so when I feel, yes, I'm spiritual more than faithful, because I don't know what I'm faithful to. I'm just spiritual, so I'm just saying you're hitting people at a point they understand. And I feel it too. And it's like, you're like a blues brother. I'm on a mission from God. Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah. And you take so much shit though too. But then anybody that's ever done anything like that takes a lot of crap.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do that. And that is why people don't do things. They don't want to take shit. They don't want to talk to their assembly person and have somebody actually say, why do you support this? Like, you don't, it doesn't matter why I support it. I'm asking you to support it. I'm a constituent. Go away. They don't want to do that. And, but the ignorance is no excuse thing. Big success. I think you accelerated the process. And, you...
People just need to be educated. That's what it is.
You got good at what you did going out on the I&E tour, and the reason why, I'll tell you, that was the best part of my day so far today, is finding out that there was such a natural progression into what you did. And, the second one, the Trenton one also,
that was a good one.
You got to you got to resurrect that, man. You got to have that where you can, at a click of a button, bring it up and show somebody.
Yeah.
That. I mean, if you held that up on your phone at a town hall meeting, or something like that, and say, this is an educational process for the police. I'm trying to educate you now. Police are the ones that want me to educate you.
Yeah.
They want to make sure you don't make their job hard. You're working with the police now.
She has 8 officers that don't know this right now. Well.
Yeah.
I was more taken aback by, don't get too stoned. That's what she said when we left. Don't get too stoned. That was a good one.
What is too stoned?
Yeah, explain that to me.
Yeah, there is a such thing. No, in my world there is.
Yeah, there is.
Too stoned is if there's a possibility I'm going to run out and I get more stoned than I needed to for the actual,
Oh, you get too stoned.
With me, it starts with pain.
Yeah.
And then it's also, now I'm certainly doing way better at the research I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not so frustrated. I'm more interested in it. I use it for that too, But if I use it because it's fun beyond that and I run out, then I got too stoned getting high for fun. So, I'm sensitive about cost. And what's a good reason for it and not as good a reason? Anyway, I don't know, don't get too stoned, yeah. The most offending commercial ever was know when to say when, and the liquor industry would think that as long as we say know when to say when, with the anti-forces to us, they'd say, this is your brain, be an egg, and this is your brain on drugs, and they'd smash it, and that'd be all it. That'd be like the extent of it.
That's that Nancy Reagan crap.
Yeah, well, basically, with me it was somewhat the opposite, that, I don't know, my brain I'd be just like looking at a shiny thing somewhere, not feeling motivated, And then I'd think about the reason we do stuff, we make ourselves feel bad at the end of each podcast. It's motivational. It's your job to make people feel bad. And
we're almost there.
Hate to be good at that. But
before we go there, can we play a song? Can we get this out of our heads, please?
Oh, yes, we can.
I want to get this out of my head.
Holy crap.
This one here. Yeah, this is too much. It's in my head, too.
Oh, it's in my head good now.
Yeah, I have words for this one. Such a happy song. All right.
Is there no singing?
I got the words.
Is that karaoke?
Let me find the words.
No, start it from the beginning. Oh, you can't start it from the beginning?
I think I did. Well, it's 40 below, and I don't give a fuck. Got a doobie in my truck, and I'm off to the ATC. You know the words?
No, okay.
It's pass to the left, take from the right. Come on, you fucking dummy, don't pass to the right. Get out of the circle, you fucked up the rotation again. Piss me off. Fucking jerk. Get on my nerves. Well, here comes Jimmy with his bong in his hand. He's a big man. He's off to the ATC. It's pass to the left, take from the right. Come on, you fucking dummy, don't pass to the right. Get out of the circle, you knock the head off again. Piss me off. I've been jerked. There's children there. Bong, 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 bong. Been off to the rodeo. Bong, 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 bong. Bongholio is a bong, 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 bong. Well, it's hot as hell, I don't give a shit. Got my doobie all lit, and I'm off to the ATC. It's pass to the left, take from the right. Come on, you fucking dummy, don't pass to the right. Get out of the circle, you rip the joint in half. You pissed me off. Fucking jerk. Get on my nerves.
Do the Jory Reid laugh.
Well, here comes Billy with a blunt in his mouth. He's down from the south and he's off to the ATC. It's pass to the left, take from the right. Come on, you fucking dummy, don't pass to the right. Get out of the circle, you fucked up the rotation once again. You pissed me off. Fucking jerk. Get on my nerves. I had to get that out.
It's all right.
It's fun. That's just a fun song to do. I love it.
Yeah, it is. Now, how is that going to get it out of my head? And Lefty's saying, get out of our heads. What happened is, I have like a band practice with my bass playing cousin and my guitar playing brother
I want
when
to play.
he's here.
Let me find that.
And we spent just enough time at the end of last week. I said to John, hey, listen to this song. It's like really catchy. And Lefty does a parody, and we want to back you up. We'll back you up. We'll get you the automatic drum. It's not like a band, We could get a drummer here, too. I mean, if you want, We could. And we could do this next month, 4th Thursday. They're still out of session. Back it away from the road just a little bit so you can get some volume. There's nobody really working in here that's going to be disturbed. Play it at a good level. But you do a bunch of songs, so we could back you up, including this one. So anyway, to learn the music, I had the words out on a music stand. I printed them out. We played with the song maybe 2 times through, so John knew the length of it and the beat and the way it works, And then we played the music through maybe 3 times, I think. Doing my best to read the words and sing it a little bit while we played, just to keep the time. But it actually turned out interesting. And I just want to be able to hear you do this. Boy, you got like a bass voice too. Mm-hmm.
Where did you send me that? On Facebook?
Regular mail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'd have to go to your mail.
Oh, gotcha.
And you could put the link. It's right on there. So anyway, I found it. But of course, we're like one electric guitar, one bass guitar, and an automatic drummer that doesn't stop when you do. And so basically, I told John, well, listen, why don't we record these 3? And the easiest way to do it was to do the video as well. And we did a really embarrassed by it. Oh, yeah, you could actually put that full screen and you could put it on. But, do the original. This is a song called The Rodeo Song by Gary Lee. And basically he uses a square dance reference. Alamander left, Alamander right, and then come on, the rest of the words. But his problem was Alamander left and right. Get your right foot right. Get off the goddamn stage, you goof, So basically, it was a guy that would be out square dancing. It only takes one square dancer out of 8 to not know his left from his right, and this apparently pissed off Gary Lee enough to write a story about it. And it's us. I don't know if you can hear the words, but maybe you shouldn't. Ooh. Come on, you fucking don't make your right step right. Get off stage, goddamn goof, you piss me off. Fucking jerk. Get on my nerves. So this would be your backup sound plus a guitar. Sing your own words. Go ahead. Seriously, go ahead. Overdub it. That's a little Chet Atkins style there.
This is great guitar.
This part sucks. I'll talk through it, try to distract,
I'm going to shut your mic off.
This would be the background level.
Now I swear, I'm thinking of Joe Vitelli for this verse. Senator, listen, and watch how angry I get. And then we quiet right back down. Check this out. I like that. And then it's like, that's nice. That's how we rehearse, and that's the automatic drummer goes off when he wants.
That's great.
So anyway, that's like with a few minutes, we can back you up. If I don't have to sing, I play guitar better too, by the way. It's hard for me to do both when I don't know the words and I'm reading them out, But what I want to do, and we actually could. It's a proposition more than we will. But if it's not bad weather and we got ready, and you stop over to the house on a Friday, why do I all of a sudden sound like Alice's Restaurant? And you come over to the house, and we'll
jam session.
No, basically we want to go through with you what it is you might want to do. It's always based on somebody's song, so we put that song on, John and me play with that song. That's all. And then it takes like one time through for everything you're doing.
I'll send you all the songs we do.
Do that.
It's one video of all the songs, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, basically, just send me the list of what they're based on. I'm not,
You'll hear them. I do karaoke. So you
okay.
can just play along.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, that's it. That's what we'll do.
So easy.
Well, we will be ready for all of them, but when everybody's in session, I can't see us getting away with a little mini concert, but I think everybody would love to come to that. We have a lawn.
To do it while everybody's in
Yeah,
session.
we
time to do it. Yeah.
we face back over here.
Right.
Okay. And we do something, and we start off their session that way.
Their
Welcome
session,
back.
They're not back yet.
Welcome back.
Enjoy what's left of the rest of your vacation while you can. We are. We're gonna get.
Did you miss us?
But to have, and we'll.
Did you miss me? Aww.
I bet you did.
Ask them. Yeah.
They do miss us, though. They're always asking. They do. They're like, hey, we didn't see you last week, or where were you last week? Like,
yeah.
Random people,
I
like,
have.
what?
Yeah.
You watch us?
Well, this is.
I'm in South Jersey, and I get stopped. Like, wait a minute. Aren't you in Trenton with Lefty?
So with all you've done,
Not today, but yeah.
and do this. Let's do kind of what we're doing today. I mean, let's showcase and say, you know what? Here's what Lefty's been doing. Here's what we're doing here now, backing up what you're doing.
Right.
Third guitar player.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, and then
That's so cool.
Mike, I see his guitar playing skills. We got to figure out how to have a microphone for that.
Oh, he's so good.
And
he really is
where
talented.
where he sings with you, I mean, even just where he's Palisades Park back at you when you get to that and he echoes it, right? Yeah, that was hilarious. That was great. That's perfect, And Bongholio needs a singing part when he can.
Yeah.
So we got microphone that.
He has his own songs too. He sings.
Yeah, that basically. Well, I'm just saying that he doesn't have an electrified guitar. Does he ever play electric? Could he?
Sure.
If you ask him if he can, because then just plug in another one.
That'd be fun.
And get to do that because he has some real strumming skills.
He's amazing.
No, and I appreciate that because I played acoustic guitar till Stephen Kuspelitz gave me his old Squire, which is a Fender knockoff, and needed pliers to tune it and stuff. But that's what got me in YouTube and my retired time to see if I could play electric guitar and all. And I'm just having some fun, And we'll be real ready, but we've never played out anywhere. We've been doing this for like over a year and a half now.
The State House will be your first gig.
No, it will. It'd be a good gig.
That's great.
Yeah. And but actually, if we're going to do it like that, I would think you probably have a solid, and it's more time in between, but you got to have somewhere around already plenty of good. I mean, you'll have stuff where you'd have like 35 minutes if it was straight worth of things that you do.
Sure.
You get a minute or two in between. It's longer, and then we'd play like maybe 2 or 3 songs that we play that they have to do with cannabis as well.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everybody's welcome to join in. Some of it's a little bit of sing along fun, but bring some blankets. Come on if you're a patient. Your card's honored there by the locals. Well, actually, it's not a matter of the locals here, is it? This is a matter of... Oh, you were there the one time I saw somebody get carded by Trenton police. You were across the street. I believe it was
we were
you.
right here.
Somebody...
No, we were sitting right here, and they came out, and they were like, remember that, Lefty? We got it on film. We did get that on film when they came over, and they tried to tell us that we had to, because we were on the lawn.
Yeah.
Actually, we were like
They
further
meaning
back, and they tried to tell us
Yeah.
that we had to go across the street. They were standing right here.
Okay, who they is state or Trenton?
State, right?
Yeah.
State,
Yeah,
right?
State.
When did
They were a couple state
Yeah.
troopers.
Yeah, but they weren't.
At the end, once
was
they we reiterated that we had the permit,
Yeah.
they just
Well,
went
you
away.
have the permit, and you're allowed to smoke cigarettes here.
Right.
There you go.
Well, they didn't want to hear that.
Well, they don't. Ignorance is no excuse.
Yeah, that's how it ended up.
You know, actually, you would. They say they don't want to hear it. Do you not have a good name to drop? I mean, who would? No, seriously, who's the? Okay, what was the guy that was kind of gruff up front, always there? You had interaction with him at one. I know.
Sands.
No.
Sergeant Sands. No.
I don't think so. I thought it had 2 syllables. It's going back a couple of years.
Oh, going back.
I love
No,
you,
no. I mean,
gentlemen,
just
but
I go back a couple of years. These are people that I got them from.
Oh, what's his name?
He sat back in the desk. Yeah. Okay, you know who I mean. Who is him now? Who is that guy that you drop his name by anybody and you say, listen, why didn't you go talk to, and that ends it right there. You got to have that guy. Who would that guy be? You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
so
actually,
you need a new point person, huh?
Well, it's not like this was ever a negotiated place. It's like we know it, so we do it. Actually, it's past the Stephen Kuspelich demarcation line. No, that's the story. There's a crack. It's probably still there, right up in the sidewalk. Stephen Kuspelich is a Crohn's patient who don't take crap from nobody, and he showed up in the beginning. And what he does is he goes up and he lights it up where other people smoke cigarettes, saying, well, you allow cigarette smoking here, so I'm smoking this here. And then they'd come out and go, well, we don't allow cigarette smoking here.
Right.
And then they say, and he says, well,
the senator,
but you
the
do.
senator smoked it.
Yeah, right. So, the guy, that state policeman said, well, just call us. And he goes, I ain't no snitch. It's exactly what he said. I ain't no snitch.
That's great.
Yeah. So he said, well, you'll have to, he goes, well, where, you know? And when he said, you have to go, I don't know, over there. I don't know. He didn't say across the street. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
No, but he walked with him.
Right.
He walked with Stephen.
While his joint was lit.
As Stephen smoked his joint. As he smoked it, and we got there, the officer said goodbye and turned away, and Stephen stayed there. He didn't walk across the street. Right. He stayed there.
Yes.
And we call that, it's called the demarcation line.
That's
it's a de facto.
Flag is planted right
so
there.
that's why they started putting blankets out over there, you know, and playing, and tried to play volleyball, and they made them take that down.
Oh, yeah, because
no
we were
volleyball.
Over there first,
right?
But,
so now we don't have to go across the street. We have lawn just like first class citizens, you know.
Huh.
And I'll tell you what.
Knowledge is power. You learn something new every day.
And I got to tell you something else about the noise thing. It was explained to me very clearly throughout this. One time, when Jeff would come with the audio at Jenny's thing, he held up a speaker and yelled and shit, and they came. However, once we established volume, they had a band, a marching band.
Thank you.
Not marching, sitting there.
Thank you.
They had tubas and sousaphones, a whole band. And I went in and said, you know you turned us down and you got this. And he said, I know, but I said, no buts. I'm just saying that I know that you know that I know that you know that I know.
One thing for the other.
Yeah, so anyway, I figure they owe us a concert. And we don't have to be loud. You know, it's not about loud. It's about being loud enough, you know. But if we're not going right towards the street, like, I could picture it going out that way. Mm-hmm. And if you're a patient, you know, just not on the sidewalk. And
well, guys, I love you both, but I'm heading out. I can't take my back anymore. I need to go home. And
you know where we're going?
I'm not going back up on my morphine. I'm going to keep going down.
Good.
So I got to adjust with it and just work through it. But today I'm done. And I have stuff to do with my kid tonight.
Yeah.
So I got to take a little break and then get back to it. I'll get back up to full strength. It's just
thanks, Tracy.
I got to make this change. This is my last one. Once I'm done this, I'm done with all the narcotics.
Yeah.
Good.
And that's it.
Well, that's what happened. You know, you got to have your own life, other things straightened out sometimes as part of getting yourself straightened out.
Yep.
And you know, when you come against things that are currently out of your control, you know, we're sorry about that. You know?
Exactly. This I can control. This part I got because I made this decision and I'm doing it. So anything that I deal with, I'm doing to myself. But I got it. I'll get it. I'll be there. I will come out the other side. They have that saying that the storm said to the person, oh, you're not strong enough to survive the storm. And the person said, I am the storm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't heard
Exactly.
that.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was sort of like Walter White did that in Breaking Bad. I am the one knocking. But,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the same
Yeah.
thing.
That's right.
You know?
No, you got it. Story flipped. I am the storm, so I can survive.
Yeah, and
anything.
actually, if you went and actually said, I am the one knocking, that's a Walter White impression, and I'm betting you half the people that you might say that to, that was the most watched show ever,
Probably.
they would get that. They would understand that otherwise vague reference. I'm not the one waiting for somebody to come knocking. I am the one knocking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Flipping that script.
I just got to keep being that storm and keep standing
That's
up
it.
against the wind and
Keep
getting
being
through
that
it.
person.
Thanks,
you know?
Tracy.
Yeah.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right, Tracy.
Love you.
Yeah, you're
Love
part
you.
of our
Happy
family.
belated birthday.
Yeah, you
It's
too.
what, last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good times when you can, and
Roll with the waves the rest of the time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We're out of here too. So
yeah, we're gone. We gotta.
cmmnj.org, sativacross.com, magicalbutter.com, NewJerseyWeBend.com, UFCW, Local 152, DavidVersusAutism.org, medical-freedom.com, New Jersey Grannies for Grass, JacksonStorms.com, Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, Pure Puff Vapor Supply, Sativa Cross West. 1 out of 10 patients die.
Yeah, it's been holding true, and if it lets up, we'll let you know. But figures come in late. Like right now, the best we got is through the end of 2017, I think. I don't know if 18's figures. No, they're not. They're not in yet. So anyway, but what's been bearing out is if they say there's 50,000 people, you could estimate 5,000 of those people will die this year, in the next year. That's not good odds. I don't want to be on that wheel.
Cheryl Miller, Sabina Rose, Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan Ford, Randy Robertson, Polly Connolly, Bill Buckman, Chad, Jeremy. That's Joanne's husband. Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ Perry, Roger, Jay, Ella, Hattie, Jackie, Anthony, little Jake. Oh, this list is so sad. Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Marine vet Sean McKay, Joyce Fortini, Lori McBride, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, my brother-in-law Frank. He was actually doing well, and he told somebody he was doing cocaine. He was off the opiates. He wasn't doing opiates. From the autopsy, it shows that. He was doing cocaine. He admitted he did cocaine a couple of months ago. All of a sudden, he dies, and they find out that somebody put fentanyl in his cocaine. That's how he died. There was no heroin in his system. There was not a lot of fentanyl in the system, but
Doesn't take much.
But yeah, just enough to mix in your cocaine and kill you. That's what killed him.
If even if that was legal, it would have been regulated.
Right.
Not saying it should be. I'm just saying that if it was, that wouldn't have happened.
They need to do something because this is happening all over New Jersey. It happened to my family. My whole family is a mess now because of this. The children are probably the strongest ones right now. They're very resilient, but you lost your daddy a month ago. I mean, you're a 16-year-old girl and a 9-year-old girl with no father now.
And they got to try to understand something they will never understand. So that's what the point I make is these things that are, when they're preventable, it's not just the people that passed on, it's the people left behind.
Yeah.
is the story. That doesn't stop. It just adds up and up, and cannabis can help that be less of a problem.
For everyone. Cannabis could have helped Frank.
While not hurting. People say, I tried it, and there's a reason that they don't do it.
Right.
They have a reason, not a fear.
Yeah.
They have a reason. They know it's not going to hurt. They know it's going to kill them. It's like, well, it just makes me tired, and I don't like being tired.
Yeah.
Okay, you have a reason. But it wasn't, well, because, should have that legal right to do it. The worst part is? People that died who play by the rules. And they died because they're playing by the rules. They're going to die playing by the rules because they don't break the law. And then how do you explain that to your grandfather, your father, somebody of a different generation, Well, anyway. It's preventable in many cases, and I felt like spending the day somewhat thanking you, Lefty, for doing everything you do. Because
thank you, Jim.
I'm aware of the energy it takes. I'm aware of, I cannot believe that you keep following through. And the evolution I've seen is really amazing, though, too. Without going further than I can say, in the early days with the sponsorship from the coalition. No, I mean, I can't talk specifics, but basically that I had to do in the utmost of stern ways, stand up to my own coalition to say, one, I'm going to keep doing this with you, too. We should keep funding it somewhat, at least a little, because, and it was almost right at that time. It's like everything just, your changes were still gradual, but you dressed differently one time, and everybody went, holy crap. Oh, my God. He's an unmovable force.
Sorry I didn't do that today. It's a little hot.
It doesn't matter. You're not out making the impression today. It doesn't. But don't you see, that's why, is dichotomy the right word? Of that is what makes it important. A guy like this is more right than you in your Brooks Brothers suit with your training official and your position.
Yeah.
He's right, you're wrong. Now, wouldn't they rather you dress in a suit? Because if they're going to get beat up mentally, if they want to be wrong to somebody knowing the rules more than they, you've starting to discern maybe this would go better this way, maybe this is time for this way, and then now you got different tiers. If it gets to DEFCON 3, Bongholio.
Yeah. Bongholio is always a secret weapon we can whip out at any time. So.
Well, it's funny. The secret is when he shows up as non-Bongholio, he kicks their ass in a way they'd rather he be playing the guitar, please.
Shut up and play guitar.
Yeah,
we don't
please,
hear
man.
Your story.
You just made us look like crap, man.
Your story is so true and hurtful to us.
Yeah.
Because we're hurting you. We know we're hurting you, and we're sorry.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's not a quick change costume where you can come out and he can support you and go, okay, I was just supporting him now.
No.
It's
not Clark Kent, Superman kind of deal, phone booth. It's a process.
Yeah, I saw.
His guitar has to be strapped on, and
my head down. If he turns his head down, he's looking at the inside of a bomb.
Yeah, he can't do it. He's amazing.
He has to watch his head's always upright. His eyes are darting up and down. His eyes are getting a workout.
He's so amazing. I don't know how he does it.
It'll be really quick, but I got to tell you, because it relates to Bongholio. A guy had a costume in the march down State Street in Madison, Wisconsin. They do the box was built, and he couldn't. And everybody smokes joints. He couldn't reach his mouth with his hand.
No.
So Bongholio can reach his mouth.
He's a genius.
That's really good.
Yeah. # they shall grow.
Yeah. It's tough at the end. It's hard for. I know it's kind of like our job to make people feel bad and name people who have died that could have been helped, and we were wrong. I mean, we were right and they were wrong, but their being wrong caused people to die, needless discomfort. Yeah. And there's only kind of quickly, because
that's what we do.
Yeah, we make you feel bad, but then what I used to really do, and I did it best when Charles was alive, still a little bit, was I could get people crying by the intensity of what I was saying, and you could see it. And then something so absurd I could say that would make people start laughing. while they had tears coming down their faces still. They'd be laughing. And, you know.
That ain't right. I'm supposed to be sad. You're making me laugh.
Yeah.
This ain't right. It's not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
I'm not used to this.
Well, you know, it's something funny about somebody like Cheryl with a sign from her hospital bed when Governor Whitman was here. Pick on someone your own size, Governor Whitman. I mean, she's lying down in a hospital bed. We don't even know what her size is. How long was Cheryl should be the question. You know, I never saw. One time I saw her stand is with her braces, you know, and you could kind of hold on to her and put the braces on her legs, and you know, she couldn't outrun you, but she was tall. She was 5'8".
Hashtag they shall grow.
Yeah. Home grow is the answer. Home cultivation. There's a path. There is. For patients, there's a path. Unfortunately, the patient path goes through the failure to get it in social. But before even that fight begins, like, we go to the polls, gets voted in. I like the effort. I love the effort. And I'll take part in the effort. But, you know, I'm prepared for it not being there. But if that's a failure for social, it's not, because it totally opens the door for patients. That's their last chance too. But it isn't their last chance, because they were promised this 10 years ago, and senators voted yes on that. 15 of them still senators now. So it's almost like they owe us that. You're going to keep it away from the general public? That's wrong. You're creating more of a heroin problem than there would be otherwise just by doing that. I mean, that's bad enough. But why keep sick people down, you know, by being the only state that doesn't allow home cultivation for sick people? I mean, when we passed the law. So, anyway, I'd like to see that in my lifetime, because I didn't have to go to an actuary to think, well, I'm 67 and you're not, so I'll make that list before you. You know, I just hope it's like, well, Jim got to grow his own at least, legally.
Hashtag they shall grow.
Okay.
They shall grow